Well, good morning. Some people aren't going to like this topic, what I have to say today, the title of which is God Has Rightfully Earned a Very Bad Reputation. We live on a planet of the lie. People who refuse to think, and certainly not for themselves, don't like it when I tell the truth. Don't get me wrong, I've been one of God's cheerleaders my entire life, until recently. Oh, I've had my challenges and faced my doubts, but not like this. Where does the responsibility for creation lie, if not with its creator? Oh, but people tell me it's not God's fault. It may be true that God didn't do it personally, but He did allow it. He chose for thousands of years to stand idly by and do nothing, while it got worse and worse. And people like me were dumb enough to make excuses and let Him off the hook. Folks, that's neither faith nor logic. It's insanity. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the reality of what we have to deal with on this hijacked planet will keep getting worse until the one we call God actually starts keeping what we've been told were His promises. As I read and reread that blurb prior to starting this video, getting the camera rolling, I thought, oh shit, people are going to get mad at me for putting the blame where I honestly believe the blame lies. Now you can say to me, Ron, look at what we've done. You know, look at who runs our planet. Look at the politicians, look at the corporations. Everything is predicated on lying to people. Nobody at high levels tells the truth. And people at the lower levels follow the example of those who are, quote, the leaders. And so salespeople lie. Uh, Lying is everywhere. The one thing we don't expect to be lying is in the religious things. And yet religions compete with each other. They talk about love, but they don't love one another. They love those that agree with them. They don't even try to love those that disagree. They don't build bridges, they build walls. Separation becomes the reality, even from a religious or spiritual perspective. Everything is made separate and compartmentalized so that this group doesn't talk with that group. Now, before I went to bed last night, I watched the video of a Jewish man who was raised in Israel. His dad was a general in the Israeli army. There are signs posted in Hebrew for Jews to stay away from the Palestinian settlements. Big signs written in Hebrew. Well, he went into the Israeli settlements and started talking, the Palestinian settlements, and started talking with the Palestinians. And he since travels around the world talking to Palestinians and Jews alike in other countries. Not in his own country. In his own country, he doesn't talk to Jews about this. He talks to the Palestinians, but he doesn't talk to the Jews because the Jews have been brainwashed by people who call themselves Jews but are Khazarians, and Khazarians are not Jews. They took the name Jew a long time ago, but they're not Jews. And they have risen to the area, or they have risen in the world system of being the leaders of Judaism, but they're not even descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not at all. In fact, a lot of the actual Jews get along just fine with Muslims. They can live side by side in brotherhood. They do it in lots of countries. They've done it that way for years, where they actually live in juxtaposition with each other in the same nation, and they don't have the animosity that they do in Israel, where segregation is the way, it's the mandate of the government. You're not allowed, if you're a Jew, to talk to Palestinians. At least that's the consensus put forth by the government, which again are Khazarian Jews, which aren't Jews. They supplanted Judaism. You've got to understand that. But because of all of this built around religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it even exists, and I don't know as much about it in the Hindu and the Buddhist religions, where they actually fight each other there too. And there's animosity between people that think that I'm right and everybody that disagrees with me is wrong. Well, all of my life, as you know, I've tried to be different. I've tried to see the other people's point of view and do what I believe God told me to do, to love one another. To not go around like I'm the only one that's right. I've tried to listen. That's why I've gone to every major religion on the planet. I've attended their meetings. I've interacted with people of that religion on purpose. I've gotten a lot of criticism for that. But ultimately, when it comes down to the situation on our planet, it is the Creator who holds the ultimate responsibility to make a correction. It hasn't happened in my lifetime yet, and it hasn't happened looking back in history for a long, long time, generation after generation after generation. The lie has been the dominant reality. And it's not going to change until enough of us wake up, but more than that, until God starts supporting those that wake up and not having them pay a high price, often even with their own lives, our own lives, and the loss of our possessions in a system of fraud. God's going to have to make us, those that want to tell the truth, at least as, if not more powerful than those that lie. But again, it's not about competition. It's about the ascendance of truth on a planet of the lie. Can that happen? Can that happen in our lifetime? Are we going to be wise enough to recognize that which we have called God has, for whatever God's reason may be, stood back and let us have it our way? And we've chosen the wrong way. Can you look at the world and think that it's the right way? I know there are people that still think that Christ is going to come back and all the sinners are going to be separated. Well, how about converted? How about having their hearts touched and their minds changed so that we do what we were told from the beginning? That the mission is not about separation, but about loving one another, about building community rather than walls. Think about what I've said and pray about it if you're a praying person. And I do, as always, thank you for listening. Namaste.